Hi guys, how's it going? I'm IAmPattyJack, and I was thinking over the last couple days here, it would be really cool to see the Elder Scrolls branch out into some different styles of gameplay and some different genres completely. And many people are thinking right now, but they did that with Elder Scrolls Online, and I hate that game. And then there's three people who are being like, oh, I like the Elder Scrolls Online. I don't get it. But let's talk about it, because I did have kind of a neat idea, and it's not an original idea or anything, but it is something that I would love to possibly eventually see in the games going forward. And I'm not saying this should happen with the Elder Scrolls 6, I'm more thinking in the vein of like a spin-off game, if they were to hand off the rights to Obsidian for like a one-off, similar to what they did with Fallout New Vegas. And by mentioning Obsidian, you might see where I'm going with this. I would love for there to be a more lore-heavy and more of a classic style of an RPG in the Elder Scrolls series, because honestly, the games get super mainstream, and to be honest, the lore kinda suffers because of it, especially in Skyrim. Great game, you're immersed in the lore and all that stuff the entire time, but with more classic-style RPGs like, say, Baldurs Gate, or more recently with games like Pillars of Eternity, Wasteland 2, these other games that are made to be more of like a classic style of RPGs from the early 2000s and the late 90s, they offer more opportunity to kind of flesh out the world, flesh out the lore a hell of a lot more than a game like Skyrim does that's so impacted by like your immersion factor and what's going on right then. With games like Baldur's Gate, the combat was never really quite the focus. It was good, it was serviceable, but what really got you through the game was reading through all the text and the quests and all the lore of the world, and what it did was it served to basically expand out on everything, give you a greater understanding of stuff, and tell really good stories. And I think that's something I'd love to see implemented in the Elder Scrolls as well, because historically, the stories have always been kind of a backdrop for you as a player, kind of going around and creating your own story in the world and everything, but I would love to see a spin-off game that takes this lore, because it is really cool lore, and kind of expands upon it and tells its own story as a spin-off in Hammerfell, or High Rock, Blackmarsh, or elsewhere, or wherever they want it to be, because what it does is it gives you more context for the world around you. So what I'd really love to see is for them to put some focus on telling some really cool stories in the universe. We've seen it a couple times before. They have done a couple books, the Infernal City, I believe that was one. I read that, it was okay, but I'd love to see more stuff like that just be given a shot. A shot in the spotlight would be really neat, because it gives you that context for the world that you're in outside of what you're doing at that specific moment, outside of being the Dragonborn or the Champion of Cyrodiil or whatever your character is at that moment. It'd be cool if you had this kind of higher knowledge of the concepts of the world you're living in as well. And above that, I kind of just really like classic style RPGs. Pillars of Eternity is one of my favorite games of all time. Same with the Baldur's Gate series, you know, Planescape Torment and all these other games as well. They all bring kind of a classic niche style to the series that they're in, and they complement other games that could be like Skyrim or Fallout 4 or whatever other game that might be similar in regards to like how it immerses you in the world rather than how it tells the story itself. And overall, I think it's just a really interesting and a really good move on Bethesda's part if they were to go to Obsidian again and say, hey guys, make us a really good top-down RPG in the Elder Scrolls universe, and we'll consult with you, and you guys can just like have the reins and make whatever story you want, make it as balls out, batshit insane that you can possibly make it, and we'll see exactly what happens. And I have total faith in a company like Obsidian, because they have a really good track record even with Bethesda. And I guess the final point is that I'd really like to see it, because we're not getting the Elder Scrolls 6 for years anyway, so they might as well, you know, give the license to someone who wants to make a game in the universe, so we get table scraps or something, at least. That would be really nice besides the card game. The card game's good, but it's no Elder Scrolls 6. Anyways, if you want to support my channel, you can absolutely do that two different ways. If you're watching on VidMe, throw a tip on the video. If you want to support my Patreon, link to that in the description. I am PattyJack, and I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.
You know, I think you might actually be onto something here. We could make Elder Scrolls The Smorge Chronicles. It would chronicle all my intern things that I do every single day, but not the ones I do at night. We can't put those in a video game. It would be rated 18+, and we couldn't put it on, like, Twitch or anything, so, yeah.